What if I told you that in 1241, a force of Mongol horse archers completely destroyed the most elite European army ever assembled, killing 30,000 knights in a single battle? This wasn't just any defeat. This was the day that changed the course of European history forever. Today, we're analyzing the ultimate clash between East and West. Mongol Horse Archer versus European Knight. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this matchup terrified medieval Europe more than any plague or famine. Welcome to the most historically significant warrior battle we've ever covered. Before we dive in, smash that subscribe button because we're about to analyze the fighting techniques that nearly conquered all of Europe. In the eastern corner, the Mongol Horse Archer, product of the steppes, trained from childhood to shoot a bow while riding at full gallop, part of the military machine that conquered more territory than any empire in human history. In the western corner, the European Knight, peak of medieval warfare technology, encased in the finest armor money could buy, trained in chivalric combat, and considered invincible by everyone who faced them. But history shows us exactly what happened when these two warrior philosophies collided, and the results shocked the medieval world. Let's start with the most obvious difference: how these warriors moved and fought. The European Knight was the medieval equivalent of a main battle tank, heavy, armored, designed to smash through enemy lines with devastating impact. Knights charged in formation, using the combined weight of horse and armor to break enemy ranks. Knight tactics were straightforward: form up, charge, and rely on superior equipment and training to win through direct confrontation. This approach had dominated European battlefields for centuries and made knights the undisputed masters of medieval warfare. The Mongol Horse Archer represented a completely different philosophy of war. These weren't warriors who sought direct confrontation. They were the ultimate hit-and-run specialists. Mongol tactics emphasized mobility, flexibility, and psychological warfare over brute force. A typical Mongol warrior could ride for days without rest, navigate by the stars, and shoot accurately while moving at full speed. They used composite bows that could kill at 350 yards, longer range than most modern rifles. Most importantly, they fought as coordinated units that could execute complex maneuvers instantly. The Mongol invasion of Europe in the 1240s demonstrated these tactical differences perfectly. While European knights expected honorable face-to-face combat, the Mongols employed feigned retreats, encirclement tactics, and coordinated arrow storms that devastated traditional European formations. The mobility advantage was overwhelming. Knights could only fight effectively in specific terrain and weather conditions. Mongols could fight anywhere, anytime, and disappear before the enemy could respond. European knights carried the most advanced weapons of their time. The knightly lance could punch through armor at full charge. The longsword was a masterpiece of metallurgy, and knight armor was virtually impenetrable to most contemporary weapons. But knight equipment had a crucial weakness. It was optimized for specific types of combat. The heavy lance was devastating in a charge, but useless if the enemy refused to engage directly. Knight armor provided excellent protection against swords and spears, but had vulnerabilities to certain types of arrows. At the Battle of Legnica in 1241, Mongol archers used arrows that could penetrate knight armor, something that shocked European observers who believed their armor was invincible. Mongol weapons were designed for versatility and reliability. The Mongol composite bow was a technological marvel. Made from wood, horn, and sinew, it could shoot further and with more power than European bows. Most importantly, it was designed for use on horseback. Mongol arrows came in multiple varieties: armor-piercing bodkins for heavy targets, broad heads for unarmored enemies, and special incendiary arrows for sieges. They carried 60 to 100 arrows per warrior, meaning a Mongol army could unleash devastating arrow storms. The psychological impact can't be ignored. Knights were used to facing enemies with similar weapons and tactics. The sight of thousands of horse archers shooting from impossible range while refusing direct combat was completely outside their experience. European knight training was intensive but specialized. Starting as pages around age 7, then squires at 14, finally earning knighthood through proven valor. They learned mounted combat, swordsmanship, and the code of chivalry that governed their behavior in war. Knight training emphasized individual skill and honor. Each knight was expected to prove his worth through personal combat prowess. This created formidable individual warriors but limited their tactical flexibility. Mongol training created something entirely different: military specialists who functioned as part of a larger machine. Mongol children learned to ride before they could walk properly. By age 5, they were hunting small game with bows. By adolescence, they could hit targets while riding at full gallop. But Mongol training went beyond individual skill. They learned to fight as units of 10 Arbans, 100 Jaguns, and 1,000 Minguns. Every warrior knew exactly what to do in dozens of different tactical situations. They could execute complex maneuvers using only horn signals and flags. The Mongol military system under Genghis Khan created the most disciplined and effective army of the medieval period. Unlike European armies that often broke down due to individual knights seeking personal glory, Mongol armies functioned with machine-like precision. The psychological conditioning was different too. Knights fought for honor, feudal obligations, and religious conviction. Mongols fought for survival and conquest, with absolute obedience to their commanders and tactical objectives over personal glory. The Battle of Legnica provides the perfect case study of these warriors in action. Duke Henry II of Silesia assembled 25,000 to 30,000 European warriors, including elite Teutonic knights, Knights Templar, and Knights Hospitaller, the cream of European heavy cavalry. The Mongol force under Khadan and Baidar was smaller, maybe 12,000 to 20,000 warriors, but they used tactics that completely neutralized European advantages. Here's exactly what happened. The battle began with the Mongols sending forward a light vanguard that engaged the European archers, then executed a feigned retreat. This was a classic Mongol tactic designed to draw the enemy into a disadvantageous position. Duke Henry's knights, following standard European tactics, charged after the fleeing Mongols. This is exactly what the Mongols wanted. As the knights pursued, they became separated from their infantry support and lost their formation discipline. The Mongols then created a smokescreen using unknown substances, possibly gunpowder-based, making this one of the first uses of chemical weapons in European warfare. The smoke cut off the knights from their infantry and created confusion in their ranks. While the knights rode around blindly in the smoke, Mongol archers unleashed coordinated arrow volleys from multiple directions. The arrows came from ranges where the knights couldn't respond, and the constant movement made it impossible for the knights to mount effective counterattacks. The result was catastrophic. The European army was virtually wiped out, with Duke Henry himself captured, killed, and beheaded. The Mongols then displayed his head on a spear while parading around the town of Legnica. This wasn't just a tactical victory. It was a demonstration of how superior strategy and mobility could overcome seemingly insurmountable technological advantages. The psychological impact on Europe was enormous. European rulers trembled before Mongol forces sacking their cities, and began to see the Mongols as supernatural forces rather than human enemies. The popular imagination began to link the Mongols as a force of evil described in the Bible. The military implications were clear. Traditional European heavy cavalry tactics were obsolete against mobile, coordinated enemies who refused to fight according to European rules of warfare. Only the death of the great Khan Ögedei in 1241 saved Europe from complete conquest. The Mongol armies withdrew to elect a new leader, giving Europe time to adapt their military tactics. So what happens in a one-on-one fight between these warriors? The knight would try to close distance quickly, using his armor's protection to get within lance range. His goal would be to end the fight with a single decisive charge. The Mongol would immediately create distance, using his horse's speed and agility to stay at optimal bow range. He'd shoot while moving, targeting the knight's horse first to eliminate the mobility advantage, then looking for gaps in the armor. The decisive factor would be terrain and starting distance. In open ground with sufficient space, the Mongols' mobility and range advantages would be overwhelming. In confined spaces, the knight's armor and close combat weapons would dominate. Based on historical evidence, tactical analysis, and battlefield results, the winner is the Mongol Horse Archer, and it's not even close. Here's why this result shocked medieval Europe. The Mongol tactical system was simply superior to European methods. Mobility, range, and tactical flexibility overcome individual skill and equipment advantages. Real battles like Legnica proved this conclusively. When these warrior types met in actual combat, the results were devastating for the Europeans. The knight wins only if he can force close combat in confined terrain. But the Mongol controls the terms of engagement, choosing when and where to fight. In 8 out of 10 scenarios, superior tactics and mobility defeat superior equipment. This battle analysis explains why the Mongol Empire conquered more territory than any other in human history. Superior tactics beat superior technology every single time. What do you think? Could European knights have adapted their tactics to counter Mongol mobility? Or was the strategic advantage too overwhelming? What warrior battle should we analyze next? Drop your suggestions into the comments below. Until next time, stay epic and extraordinary.